phone, I really haven't talked much about or really looked into the Switch 2. I've heard it came out and stuff like that. Uh, Honestly, with all the Game Fest and things going on, there's been a lot to like look at, keep an eye on, take notes on, and stuff like that. From a personal level, like games I want to try and stuff like that. Stuff we've hosted, like the Future Game Store, we co-streamed on here. Well, not on here on this video that you're watching, but on my Twitch channel, which you hit the link down below if you're watching here on YouTube. But I saw this video come up on my YouTube feed, and I really wanted to give it a try. I've heard good things about the Switch 2, and like I've seen the recent Mario Kart, I've seen it streamed. It looked really good. I like the new levels and stuff that I've seen so far. But obviously, with every new console that comes out, there's always problems, and there's always things we gotta keep an eye on and watch out for. I will say I was very, very. I'm trying to think of the word. Not amazed. Grateful because somebody was nice enough to buy me a Switch 2 through Thorn. And I still haven't beat Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Okay, I know. And there's still other games. I still haven't beat Pokemon. I'm just still getting into the Switch 1. So while I personally have no plans currently right now for the Switch 2, I'm always a let's see, and then we'll make that decision to do anything right now. Currently I'm still still trying to crowdfund for a PS5. Okay? And I've seen the games on there, and I can't wait to hopefully eventually get to play that console someday. But there's still some on the PS4 that are coming out, so just keep an eye on those too. Anyway, I forgot who makes this. This video is by the background NPC. I will put this video's link in the description if you want to watch it there. But here we go. Let's see what their opinion is about the Switch 2, because going by just the title of this video, it doesn't look good.
Switch 2 is out,
Ooh,
and honestly, I wish I could say I was excited. I really wanted to be excited. Like many 90s babies, I grew up on Nintendo. They were my very first gaming love, and not just the game.
You're looking at a Nintendo with a Nintendo gun. Super Nintendo had one of those, the original Game Boy. Played the crap out of Tetris. Played a lot of Tetris because that's the only game I had on the Game Boy. On the OG Game Boy, before there was a color, before there was what was it, DS? Okay, me, that Game Boy, and Tetris were like that was my middle school right there. Anyway.
But the feeling of them, the wonder, the warmth, the way they pulled you into a world and made it feel like home. Ocarina of Time was the one that really
what's funny? I never played
that opening
much Zelda.
Kokiri Forest, like with the Deku Tree,
Zelda
riding
Breath of the Wild
Epona
is my first
across
Zelda
Hyrule
game I've
Field,
ever played.
It all felt so massive, like a real world was tucked inside a little cartridge. And then Majora's Mask came along, and my little self had never felt such anxiety. That eerie moon, the ticking clock, the emotional side quests that made you care so much in so little time. It was the very first game that made me feel something beyond just fun. It was sad, confusing, kind of strange at times, and very deep. It wasn't just Zelda. I was obsessed with Super Mario 64.
Yep,
Running wild
love
through Peach's
64.
castle, jumping into
No, I didn't get to
paintings,
play 64.
discovering
We didn't
every
get to
secret
64.
star. That game
We
felt
got
like
the
true freedom.
PS1,
And then
honestly.
there were classics like Kirby's Dream Land, Yoshi's Story,
Oh, yeah,
Donkey
Kirby.
Kong 64, Star Fox, Metroid Prime, all completely different and wonderful in their own way. And every one of them had a vibe, a soul, that Nintendo spark that made it feel like you weren't just playing, you were being let in on something very
Exactly.
special. And then my parents bought me the original DS, and just like that, the whole thing was cracked wide open for me. That's how I found Animal Crossing Wild World, and I was hooked. I spent hours in that little village, rearranging furniture, writing letters, fishing for red snappers, and visiting my
Do you
best
see that they're playing Power World in the back, or somebody's playing Power World in the background?
friend's town during our weekly sleepovers. Even now, just hearing the soundtrack makes me very emotional. It takes me right back to those quiet, cozy afternoons after school, all curled up with that clunky silver DS with nowhere else that I needed to be. Truly the epitome of nostalgia. I didn't know it then, but those games were helping to shape how I saw everything. Stories, characters, even myself, and for a while, it really felt like Nintendo understood how to make something that mattered. And it didn't stop there. I basically owned every major Nintendo console, starting with the N64, GameCube, Wii, DS, 3DS, even the Wii U, which, in my humble opinion, was ahead of its time, by the way. But I owned all of them, and when the Switch was announced with Breath of the Wild, I was beyond excited. Like, very cringely crying at the announcement trailer excited. As a Zelda fan, it was everything I'd ever wanted in a game, and to this day, it is still one of my favorites. That launch brought back so much of the old magic, which is probably why I held on for so long, and I even wanted to work for them. Like, genuinely. I applied to corporate Nintendo PR jobs probably 15 to 20 times. I'm not even exaggerating. Back in 2019, I was pursuing PR, and when I got the opportunity to go to E3 that year, the very last E3, by the way, I actually spoke with a Nintendo PR team in person.
Tears.
The Nintendo section
I
of the
miss
event
E3.
was so overwhelming and electric.
I miss E3 so much. I kind of want to ask like what happened to it. E3 was just like, it was like all the big boys. Yeah, they had their own like days and stuff like that, but it was perfect. It was a perfect kind of gaming announcement place. And now we got this sporadic announcement schedule left and right and stuff like that. And in a way, I like it, and I feel like more indie products get to be viewed that way. But when it comes down to the big boys, I still miss E3. I'll admit to it. I miss E3 very, very much.
And I remember thinking, this is it. This is what I want. This is what I want to be a part of. So please, hear me out. What we are about to discuss isn't coming from someone who's out to bash Nintendo. This is coming from someone who genuinely, wholeheartedly, even at times, very cringely, loved Nintendo and their games, and really believed in what I thought they stood for. But over time, I've started to realize that maybe Nintendo isn't the company I thought they were. What I've seen over the last few years is that my nostalgia goggles have been working overtime, and they kept me from really seeing the true nature of a company that I once held so dear to my heart. So, let's dive in. And let's start with the release of the Switch 2. It's officially out now, and sales are booming. Records are being broken, and over 3 million units were sold worldwide on release day. People are also loving Mario Kart World, and I'm genuinely very happy for them. Yes, the game looks like a lot of fun. I just wish I felt something, because more than anything, I just feel tired. At $450 or $500 if you get it bundled with Mario Kart World, this doesn't feel like a celebration of the next chapter. It feels like Nintendo seeing how far they can stretch our loyalty, how much they can charge us for something that isn't even new, just
I felt like,
newer.
okay,
And listen, I'm not here to
I'm gonna be honest, I felt like that for the Wii U. Not the Wii. The Wii, I was like, okay, they're trying to keep up with everybody. The Wii U was just like, you're trying to act like this is a completely different console from something that it's not. All it is really just like an update to the current console that you have out, but it's not a full-on different console. And I'm feeling that too with the Switch 2. Okay, I personally, when I saw the Switch 2 and they were announcing the Switch 2, I was just like, I'm surprised they didn't give it a different name or something like that. Calling it the Switch 2 just makes it like, this is just an update. Okay, it doesn't feel like a new Nintendo console. Shit, they could have called it the Super Nintendo Switch or some shit like that. Okay, but it doesn't really feel. It looks the same in many ways. Okay, its packaging looks the same. Is like Nintendo didn't want to spend any time with like the design of the logo anymore. They just like, oh, just slap a 2 on it and see if it works. That's what it felt like.
Crap on Mario Kart. I actually really like Mario Kart. I do. It's one of those comfort games that's always been there, and it's attached to so many fond memories of playing with friends and family. But even though it looks fun, when that's the flagship title for a brand new console launch, I don't know, I personally just couldn't get behind the hype. It feels kind of boring, safe, predictable. Nintendo isn't asking, hey, what's possible here? They're asking, what can we get away with?
Exactly. That's what I feel like.
For
Yeah.
Mario Kart World,
Yeah.
it's not just a new number. It's a shift in how this industry treats its players. And
Yep.
what surprises me, even though it shouldn't at this point, is that it's Nintendo, of all companies, ushering in this new pricing standard. This wasn't them reluctantly following a trend that
Okay.
I know was inevitable.
Okay.
But this was
Okay. And this is what I want to say. Okay. And I know we as gamers, we're facing this like time of where game companies are raising the prices of their games. We're starting to see the $80 price tag per game per the AAA titles and stuff like that. I can say many things like just switch to indies and stuff like that. And there's lots of indie titles out there that you should be trying. Like, for example, if you have not tried Hollow Knight and you kind of like that kind of lifestyle, not lifestyle, like that type of gaming, the challenge and stuff like that, like, you know, you should be playing some Hollow Knight. One, because it's a great game, it's a great indie game, and two, its sequel or its Silk Song's coming, alright? Silk Song is coming. It's been confirmed to be coming, I think this year, okay? So much that even I will be playing Hollow Knight this year, so I can get my body back into the motion of playing that type of game. Because Hollow Knight is that good, and I have not beaten it, and that is a crime amongst gaming. Especially Lumpy gaming. Don't worry, six on this summer. Okay, promise you. Right after South of Midnight is going to be Hollow Knight. That's for my community on Twitch. Okay, and I guess y'all watching on YouTube, we'll be playing we'll be playing Hollow Knight this summer, so I can get ready for Silk Song. Okay, I'm super excited to be playing both them games. But what I really wanted to get into is what games is worth $80 and which games are not worth $80. If GTA 6 is anything like, I feel like, and a lot of people might get mad at me, and please address your anger in the comments, but I feel like GTA 5, with everything that GTA 5 came with, and I'm talking about GTA 5, the game itself, multiple options, everything like that, and online mode, and I'm not even talking about the ones people are PRing, I'm just talking about the ones that people can play regularly, okay? All that was worth $80. Okay? That to me felt like altogether, yeah, that was worth $80. Okay? That online edition was free. They could have charged us an extra for it. Or did they charge us an extra for it? I'm trying to remember. I don't think they did. I don't remember paying an extra for online GTA. Or GTA Online, okay? Something that's still going, even through sorry, yeah, do PR and people role playing and stuff like that. That's still going. That's a game that is still going, and it's over 10 years old now, I think. Okay, even Red Dead Online didn't survive that long. It's Red Dead Online is basically dead. Barely anybody plays Red Dead Online. All right, I probably still hop on my Xbox, jump into my GTA 5, go in my online, and hop on my riding bike. Okay, can I play PR in it? No, but I probably could if I wanted to. If I wanted to keep building my club or my other businesses and stuff like that, yeah, in the game. Anyway, I feel like Mario Kart is not an $80 worth game. GTA 6, if it delivers like even on the level of GTA 5, probably with better graphics, hopefully, and better, tiny bit better mechanics. The shooting mechanics were sometimes a little whack, and even in the OG, even in GTA 5. But well, that's a whole different discussion. Okay, I feel like GTA is an $80 game, but Mario Kart, their most recent Mario Kart, isn't.
Them leading the charge, setting a precedent, establishing $80 as the new normal, and not with some expansive, genre-pushing new experience, but with an exact game
I feel like
that we've literally seen
once again
16 times.
Yeah, once again, that's another reason I say GTA 6 is worth $80, but this new recent Mario Kart is not. This new recent Mario Kart is just Mario Kart with some new levels in it. GTA 6 is going to be new levels, new cities, people, or at least levels people haven't played since Vice City. Alright?
At this point. And it makes you ask,
Just
why?
saying.
Because meanwhile, I'm looking at games like Helldivers 2, Hi-Fi
Exactly.
Rush, Lies of P, Remnant 2, Clair Obscur, Baldur's Gate 3, and so many more. Games that have real creative vision, some with massive campaigns, even some with fleshed out co-op systems, launching at or below $60. And many of these games are taking risks.
By the way, Split Fiction, that's an EA game. Remember when we used to hate EA so damn much? But I've seen people play Split Fiction. The only reason I haven't played it with somebody is because my PC cannot handle it. Okay, that's an EA game, and that's a pretty good game. Okay, and I think that was only how much was that? How much is that? I kind of want to pull up my Steam, but I'm not gonna do that right now. But
risks and really pushing boundaries.
Yes.
And somehow they're still finding a way to be more accessible. So when Nintendo drops a new console and leads with yet another Mario Kart at a higher price than ever before, it doesn't feel like they're honoring their legacy. It feels like they're monetizing it, like they're using it against us. Actually kind of feels like a slap in the face that stings pretty badly. And yes, to be fair, the Switch 2 is a technical upgrade. 4K visuals, better battery, smoother performance, more storage. It's all technically better on paper, but it doesn't feel like a new era. It seems like
not
a
even like much bigger
of something that we already had.
Thank you.
For me
It's the Wii U.
Realization of
that's what it is. It's the Wii U.
Not like a sudden moment of
in Switch form.
I've quietly been stepping back from them for a while now, and not because I stopped loving their games, but because I started seeing the patterns, the choices, and the shifts. And at this point, it's pretty clear that this Switch 2 release is not just about a new price tag or a genuine attempt at launching something new. It's just another step in the same pattern that's been repeating for years. Back in the day, this used to be the company that took risks, that made magic, that redefined entire genres and invited us into something truly special. But now, it just seems like they're relying on the fact that we'll show up no matter what, even though they are so often very anti-consumer. It's because they know our nostalgia runs incredibly deep, and the more I've seen it, the harder it has been to unsee. Nintendo has mastered...
But nostalgia only goes so damn far. Nostalgia only goes so damn far. Okay? You know what they also did that with? Batman. And then we finally got Batman and Robin. And we had to stop on Batman for a while. Even they said Batman and Robin sucked. Warner Brothers said that, and it was like, you know what? Let's hold back from making a Batman for a minute. Okay. And I don't want to say we got to do that with the Nintendo, but
nostalgia. They've turned our childhood memories into a soulless business model, and the part that really hurts is that it works. It worked on me for so long. I've been the Nintendo fangirl who's bought the remakes, re-releases, and updated ports, even though I knew deep down that what they were offering was not anything new. And looking back on it, I don't know. I guess it was because I didn't feel like I was buying a game. It felt like I was buying a memory. And Nintendo knows that. They know that we remember how it felt to blast through Alien Worlds and Metroid Prime, or how it felt to spend hours raising your perfect Nintendo like it was your actual childhood
but
pet.
they still haven't brought it back. Still no damn Nintendogs. Where my Nintendogs? Fucking Nintendo.
Titles, sometimes
Oops,
only
I just cursed
mildly
there. Well,
updated
I'm gonna
at
let
full
that
price,
slide.
locking legacy content.
Where my
behind
Nintendo
paywalls
dogs,
and
huh?
subscriptions,
Where my
and
Nintendo
offering
dogs?
nostalgia not
Still
as a
haven't
gift,
got them
but
things back
as
since
a
the
purchase
DS.
transaction. And just a quick
And
side
people
note that I
ask
found
for
out
that.
while I was writing out this video. Do you want
I'm
to talk
asking
about
for that.
murders? Because I just found out that Nintendo actually replaced the voice actress for Princess Peach after 18 years. And they didn't even tell her. She found out with the rest of the world when the new Mario Kart game came out. Like, that's actually insane. But anyway, to get back on track, there's always been a huge difference between celebrating fan love and exploiting it. And for me, it seems like Nintendo has lived long enough to finally see themselves become the villain. So moving on from the Switch 2 release, at some point I started looking at how Nintendo treats the people who love their games. And what I found honestly broke my heart a little bit, because Nintendo doesn't just protect its legacy, they police it. Let's start with content creators. This is nothing new. For many years now, Nintendo has been going after them. Streamers, YouTubers, musicians, for doing what, honestly, most other gaming companies celebrate, sharing their love for the brand and its IP. Somehow,
these people have stopped. They've stopped Mario fighting tournaments. Honestly, it is one of the things that I personally kind of hold against Nintendo. And I have for a very long time. I hate that they went against people that are doing fighting tournaments with their game. They made such a good fighting game that people wanted to do tournament. And this is going against Street Fighters, Marvel vs. Capcom's, Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is gone against. Okay? Do these other people stop fighting tournaments in their name? No, you've never. If you've heard of a Mortal Kombat tournament being shut down, it's most of the time because it got actually too violent. But it's never been the company. I've been to Mortal Kombat fighting tournaments. They're pretty damn cool, actually. Like LAN. They're fighting. I've seen, and is one of the things that I really have not liked that Nintendo does. They stop, like Smash Bros. Sorry, I was trying to remember the name. Smash Bros. Fighting tournaments. Wait. Let me pull one of those up. Here it is. Right here. This happened in 2022. Sorry if you can't see everything out. Maybe I should take myself down. Okay. Happened in late 1992. Nintendo canceled the Smash World Tour and the championship event, causing controversy within Smash Bros. Community. Yeah, they would not be granted a license to operate. Okay, and it does have it even has like its own, like, I'm not gonna really. The situation raised questions about Nintendo's relationship with the Smash community, their approach to esports, and the role of licensed versus unlicensed tournaments. Ah, sorry, let me take it off. Okay, and I'm gonna say this: why? What? Oh, wait, where am I? There. Why, Nintendo? Like, fucking why? Honestly, all that does is make promotion for your game. That's more sales for your game. Some little kid is gonna see a Smash Bros tournament and be like, you know what? I want to get that good, and they'll go out buy them a Switch and some Smash Bros, and they'll be on that shit as much as they can. But you canceling that drives that away. That makes us believe that you you hate your community. You hate the community that buys your games. Okay, and while understandably you are a business, shouldn't a business love free advertisement? As long, especially if it's not hurting you in any kind of way.
I managed to kind of turn a blind eye to most of this until the Point Crow situation. He was a YouTuber who was making these really incredible Breath of the Wild mod videos. Fun, creative, and totally original. And then one day, Nintendo claimed and struck 27 videos.
Yep.
No warning, no conversation, just straight up attacked. And
Yep.
it wasn't just his Breath of the Wild mods, it was any content that featured them, including other creators who had collaborated with him. It all got wiped out like a purge. And it made me pause because these weren't leaks and they weren't made to be malicious. It really was just fan content that was made out of love. And Nintendo really cracked down on it like it was a threat. And this was not an isolated case. One that has really stuck with me was Gilvasunner. And if you didn't know, Gilvasunner's channel used to be one of the only places online where you could find full Nintendo soundtracks. For years, Nintendo basically had these locked up very tight unless you were able to purchase a physical CD from Nintendo themselves. They weren't on Spotify, Apple Music,
Nope.
Nintendo's YouTube channel, no official platform to listen to any of it. And Gilva wasn't even trying to profit from this. There were no ads or monetization, just the original music uploaded for fans who wanted to relive the moments those songs came from. It was really a gift to the community. And then it was gone. Nintendo initially sent over 1,300 takedown notices, and after that, it was followed by another 2,200. The entire
Jesus
channel
Christ.
was essentially wiped out, and Gilva closed up shop. And I know this might sound a little bit dramatic, but that was kind of a big turning point for me when it came to how I viewed them. Just a little side note slash
Didn't even know
confession,
about
but
this.
as a former Disney adult who has learned the error of her ways, I feel pretty qualified to say this. Nintendo really is the Disney of gaming. They're wholesome on the surface, very full of magic and memories, but underneath, there's a very quiet, corporate, malicious control.
Yeah.
Both companies know how to tug at your childhood heartstrings while handing out copyright strikes and ulterior motives on the side. At the time I was watching this unfold, the more I sat with what happened to Gilvasunner, the more it made me wonder, why is Nintendo's music so locked away to begin with? These soundtracks have some of the most iconic songs in gaming. They were emotional, timeless, and they were very deeply personal for so many of us. And like I said earlier, Animal Crossing Wild World was my comfort game. And yet, at the time, there was basically no way for me to go listen to it legally. It felt like Nintendo had locked away their history in a vault, and they just would not let anyone open it up. And from there, I started noticing so many other examples. Fan games getting shut down, community passion projects being wiped out, and listen, I get it. IP protection is legally within their right. But it all just felt like they were going out of their way to crack down on this, acting very aggressive, cold, and even heartless. Especially when you look around at many other companies, Sega, Capcom, Xbox, PlayStation, even some indie studios, and you see them amplifying creators, lifting them up, letting the fans be a part of the legacy. But Nintendo doesn't really do that. They continue to pull the plug again and again, and over time I started wondering if maybe I had just been giving them the benefit of the doubt simply because I grew up loving them. So at this point, after the Gilvasunner takedown, I had already started to feel uneasy. The creator takedowns, the fan projects, the legacy content, it was all feeling a lot more controlling than caring. But The moment that truly stopped me in my tracks was when I heard the story of Gary Bowser. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know about any of this until I listened to an episode of Darknet Diaries, which, by the way, Jack does an incredible job explaining all of this. I'll link it in the description for you. Now, I obviously knew at this point Nintendo could be very protective of their IP, but this was on a whole other level. Gary was a part of a group called Team Executor, and what they did was build and sell mod chips, little pieces of hardware that you could install in your Nintendo consoles to run homebrew apps, custom firmware, and yes, pirated games. But people also used those mods for stuff that wasn't necessarily piracy. They used it to run backups of games they already owned, or just experiment with the system for their own personal use, things that were really never going to be available through Nintendo directly. Gary essentially became the fall guy for the entire organization, and Nintendo came down on him in a way that was very extreme. In 2020, Gary was arrested at gunpoint in the Dominican Republic and extradited to the US. By 2022, he'd been sentenced to 3 years in prison and ordered to pay $14.5 million in damages, $4.5 million in restitution, and then another $10 million from a civil suit. And after he got out early, he still owed all of it. And he started paying Nintendo back 25 to 30% of his monthly income, which at one point was just $25 a month from his prison library job. He'll basically be paying them for the rest of his life. When I heard that, my stomach dropped. I genuinely felt heartbroken for him. Yes, what he and the rest of the team were doing was illegal, and they did profit off of it, but Gary was just one man. And are we really saying the punishment fits the crime here? Because whatever legal lines were crossed, this felt less like justice and more like hatred and wrath. And not just for what he did, but for daring to even touch Nintendo's closed system. And the part that really got me with this is Nintendo tried to get Sony and Microsoft to back them up here, to join the lawsuit and make it a united front against piracy. Both companies said no. Both Sony and Xbox, billion-dollar publishers in their own right, refused to be a part of it. Even they seemed to think that it was too far. And again, I am not here to outright defend piracy, really. There's a whole conversation to be had about
That's saying some shit, alright? Because we all know that Sony especially, they're usually a lot in the same boat as as Nintendo. They usually have a lot of the only on their system games. Xbox has been more, especially with their new, well, not their new CEO, but their newest CEO recently. They've definitely been more, we don't care, play the game on ours, play the game on them. On ours, you can play it day one. On Xbox, you don't even have to pay anything except for the Xbox fee. I mean, the Xbox Game Pass fee, which is like, what, $12 at its most maximum? Like $20 is its most maximum when you're playing an $80 game day one. You know, with all the, tips and trinkets in the game. Xbox has been way more open, with his newer CEO and stuff like that. But the fact that Sony didn't want to, hop in on that, and Sony has sued some people. Sony's been known to sue some people over copyright, piracy. I don't know if they sued anybody over piracy, but they've definitely have been in court before. Okay, I'm not gonna dig it up all right now, but it's there, it's on the internet, Google it, okay?
Access, preservation, and ethics, but this felt incredibly cruel and predatory. Nintendo did not just want to stop Gary from what he was doing, they wanted to make him an example. And for me, this was the defining moment when I knew Nintendo was no longer the company that I had loved for decades. And if you thought Gary Bowser's case was just a one-off or a legal overreach in a rare situation, it wasn't. Because not long after that, Nintendo set its sights on something much bigger and arguably much more telling. You might have already guessed it, but I'm talking about Palworld. You probably remember when it blew up. A very weird, chaotic blend of Pokemon-style creature collecting and open-world survival mechanics. It was very messy, it was wild, but it was so much fun. People were very obsessed, myself included. And yes, come on, it clearly was inspired by Pokemon. That's not a secret.
Inspired is one thing, but being is not Pokemon. It's Palworld.
Pokemon adjacent, absolutely. But here's the thing. It wasn't a copy. The characters were different. The art direction, tone, many mechanics were different. It took a very familiar genre and gave it a bold, slightly unhinged twist. And for the first time in years, fans were saying, why doesn't Nintendo try stuff like this? Instead of taking that feedback in stride, instead of rising to the challenge, listening, learning, evolving, Nintendo did what
Man,
they
I
could
would have
do
loved
for a while.
if Nintendo came out with like a
Together with the Pokemon Company, they filed a patent infringement lawsuit against the Pal World dev team. Not over character design, surprisingly, not even over branding, but over mechanics. Things like throwing a Pal Spear to catch creatures, using them in combat, riding them across the world. And because of all of this, the Pal World team had to actually go in and change all of those features. They stripped out mechanics that players loved, not because they were unethical, but because they simply couldn't defend themselves against a legal juggernaut. And just like with the Gary Bowser case, Nintendo tried to bring other companies into the fight. Sony and Microsoft were purportedly approached to back them again here, and again, they declined. They did not want to be a part of it. And all of
because
this
them games
says
were
a lot,
doing well.
because this could have been a big moment for Nintendo, a wake-up call, an opportunity for them to...
All Nintendo should have done is just accept Power World onto theirs. But no, they saw a threat to Pokemon. But I'm gonna tell you, I've played Pokemon on the Switch. I played a Pokemon on the Switch so far. I'm hating it. I'm hating it ever since the idea of playing Pokemon. And my brother gave me this Pokemon. And it's just like, I'm playing this, I'm just like, why do people play this? Is really the question in my head. I get the series, I get even the card game, but I don't get the Pokemon on the Switch that I have. I forgot which one it is. I would have to dig out my Switch, which is over there, but I'm not digging out the whole game right now.
To ask, what is it that people are responding to? Why are they so excited about this?
Excuse
What
me,
can we
sure.
learn from this? But instead of innovation, they chose litigation. And to me, it was not a stand for creativity or IP protection. The Pokemon formula has been around for literally 30 years. We all know what it is and where it comes from. And Power World was not going to change that. No.
No way.
This was Nintendo being a bully and
Yeah.
swinging at anything that threatened the comfort of their complacency. They had an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to take advantage of someone already laying the groundwork for them, but instead, they chose violence. And after everything, the creator takedowns, the lawsuits, the silencing of innovation, you think maybe Nintendo would at least try to get one thing right: their legacy. I remember when Nintendo Online was first announced. It sounded like such a win, a way to legally revisit classic titles, play old favorites, dive back into the library that built up this brand. And at first, I was so hopeful, but the reality has been frustrating at best. Games get added randomly. Some months it's not much, other months it's one obscure NES title no one really asked for. Entire consoles like Game Boy Advance or N64 still feel incomplete, and sometimes titles will just disappear without warning or explanation. They're just gone. And now, with the launch of the Switch 2, I thought maybe they would just try to clean things up a bit. GameCube has finally joined the retro lineup, which is very awesome, but they only added 3 games at launch: Wind Waker,
Really?
Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero
Only
GX.
what?
Yeah, that's a cool trio, I guess, but it's also pretty bare bones for a console with so many legendary titles. And yes, I know more are coming, but why launch with so few? Why not take the easy win here and give your fans what they've been begging you
For
for
real,
years?
like, they've had
Beyond the
so
catalog,
long
the
to-
performance isn't
for-
always there either. Sometimes there's lag, some games have awkward control schemes, others don't support cloud saves. It doesn't really feel like a premium service. It feels like something Nintendo begrudgingly maintains, and definitely not something that they can be proud of. The thing is I've always wanted to support something like this. I
Another
actually
Disney
am very happy to pay
full
to play
crappy
these
ass
games.
remakes.
I want to revisit the titles that shaped me in a clean, easy way, but Nintendo has made it so hard. It's like they're sitting on this treasure trove of nostalgia, this very beautiful, powerful legacy, and instead of sharing it or celebrating it with us, they keep it to themselves and withhold it. They kind of hold it over us like drugs, honestly, banking on the fact that we'll continue to play the part of the willing addicts who will be so happy for even the tiniest drop. It really is heartbreaking, but at this point, I'm not even really mad about it. I'm just tired and maybe still a little bit sad. Now, again, to be clear, this video is not meant to shame anybody. If you bought the Switch 2 or you're a part of Nintendo Online and you're loving it, I think that's great. Truly, I am not here to
Same
steal
here.
joy away from anyone.
If,
This
if
video
you
really is
if
just to
you
talk
love some
about
Mario Kart and you love me some Tears of the Kingdom, and you love some Donkey Kong, and trust me, I love me some Donkey Kong too when I was a kid. Okay, that's great. And enjoy your Switch 2 and stuff like that. But like going off her opinion and just saying my own opinion is this is one of the reasons I don't buy consoles at launch. It's always been that, like, a lack of games. And you know, some consoles can say not say that at launch. Some consoles got released with a whole bunch of titles and stuff like that, ready to go at launch. But this is personally why I don't usually buy any console at launch. I'd rather buy a new updated computer or some new computer chips than a console at launch. I'd rather buy the PS5 now after how many years of launch? How many years? Okay, it's been out for just over 4 years. PS5 has been out. I'd rather buy the PS5 now after 4 years of it being out, because I know when I buy the PS5, there's a whole gallery of games just waiting to be played. And it ain't The Last of Us 1 or 2. Okay, there's a whole bunch of new games to play that I can only play on the PS5. Okay? And Nintendo, I'm sorry, I'd rather have, like I said, I'd rather have a PS5 right now than I would rather have a Switch 2. And not saying I don't love Switch games or Nintendo games, but if you're just gonna do the reboot stuff that Disney fucking does, oh, damn, that's me cursing again. Well, you know what? I'm not. Whatever. If you're gonna do the stuff that Disney does, then suffer the consequences that Disney does. All you need now is an actress to basically ruin the next game for you, and you'll be just the Japanese Disney, and not the theme park either.
how I can't ignore how much my own relationship with Nintendo has changed over the years. And I don't love them anymore. Not the company, not like I used to. And that's difficult to say out loud because I grew up on these games. I spent summers chasing stars in Mario 64, winters decorating my Animal Crossing home, racing my siblings in Mario Kart, riding Epona across Hyrule Field like it was the most magical thing in the world. And for me, these
I can't tell you how many castles weren't the right castle in Mario 1.
That's why all of this hurts so much. The company
or how many times that damn dog laughed at me in Duck Hunt.
Feels like it's running on autopilot, giving us the absolute bare minimum. Comfortable, safe, lazy, greedy. We're getting less and paying more. And look, the industry as a whole is a bit of a mess right now, but it's still fair for us to ask for better, to feel valued as customers, to want these companies to care. And for a long time, I really believed that Nintendo did, that they were different, that they stood for something. But now it's hard to see how that could still be true. I always joke that my relationship with Nintendo is super toxic because even after all of this, even after how I've seen how they treat their consumers and fans, part of me still hopes that they'll change because
I kind of want that meme as my
really
thumbnail.
So easy.
Honestly,
if they wanted to, they could be the company that supports creators instead of silencing them, shares their legacy instead of locking it away, prioritizes joy over control, and evolves instead of punishing innovation. I really would love nothing more than to fall back in love with them. But right now, it just seems like Nintendo is going to keep being Nintendo. Just very stuck and too happy to stay that way. The love that I once had for them was so real and the magic really mattered. But the company behind that magic, it feels further away than ever.
Yep.
If you made it to the end of this video, seriously, thank you so much. And I would love to hear your
Go give them a subscribe and a follow.
Are you still in love
no,
with
they're on
them?
YouTube,
Or
so give
have you
them a
also had
subscribe.
A bit of a breakup with them, like me. Let
Give
me
them
know
a
in the
comment.
comments,
Give them a like.
Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you very much for the video. The background PC. And the background NPC. My bad. Yeah, honestly, I feel like the gaming world is very, very, very spoiled. Maybe spoiled is the word. We have gamers that definitely spoiled the crap out of these big gaming companies, and they've gone from remembering that we're customers to just thinking we're targets. And that's a little sad to say. And really, the only way to really for them to really respond now is through their wallets, as meaning us giving them our money. If I'm going to give my money, it's going to be something that's worth it. And I hope everybody watching this video also takes that same drive, same ideal going into what they buy for games and game consoles and stuff like that. Okay, make your purchases meaningful, make them worth it, study them. Okay, watch other people. People are gonna buy it no matter what. Some people are just gonna go into it not even thinking. So there's always gonna be somebody else that's gonna play a game, and there's always gonna be content creators out there that will play that game either live or, well, maybe not if it's a Nintendo game because it'll basically get booted off of YouTube. Well, they'll watch it live on, like on Twitch or Kick or any streaming service that you particularly watch, and they happen to play games. Somebody's gonna play it, and somebody's gonna show them playing it. Study a game. Is it worth? Is it worth your money? Should always be the question you ask when you do things that are meant for your time and energy. Is it worth my time and energy? Is it worth my money and energy to put in? Or does it just suck? Or is it just like a couple of new, like, updated levels? Or is it just, and is really nothing in particularly new that I feel like my money should go to? Always ask yourself these questions. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, comment if you want to. But I'm Lumpy Shinobi. I react to videos, I stream video games, and I'm Lumpy. Bye.